Hello, it's time for another video in our Rune series. I know it's been quite a while, but we're getting ever closer to the end of it. This time we're going to be looking at a rune called the Eos Rune. This rune looks, from our point of view, like a letter M, but it was actually the runic letter E. And it's not to be mistaken with the Ehwaz rune, which was a rune that we've already covered. You can look back in the video, the playlist, to see which that one was. So the Eos rune, or Ehwaz rune, the name of it comes from the same root as the Latin word equus, from which we get the word equestrian. And so if you know what that means, it's connected to horses. So the Eos rune is the horse rune. And first of all, it's very interesting that it's part of, and I want to kind of go into covering the details about the 3 Eights. You'll remember, if you've been watching the whole playlist from the beginning, there are 24 runes, and they're divided into 3 sets of 8, or Eights, which are each of them thematic in a series. The first Eight, the first 8 runes, are about these primordial forces of magic. And then the second 8, they are about manifestations of those forces in a big universal sense. And then the last 8 are about the manifestation of those forces in a worldly sense, in the material creation, you could say. And so if we look back, the third 8, this is the third rune of the third 8. So the first rune of the third 8 is the Tyr rune, which is the spear, the warrior, the sky, and the father, right? So that's the father rune. The second one is Berkana. And Berkana, the birch tree, nurturing, it's the mother rune. This, Eos, the horse rune, is also the rune that symbolizes kings. In the ancient culture that created the runes, the possession of horses was a symbol of lordly wealth and power and mobility, right? If you had horses, you could get around. And besides that, you could also, go to war. So horses were very, very useful in the ancient Germanic culture, in the ancient Northern European culture. So it's a symbol of kings. And I'm going to give you a spoiler. The next rune after this one, Manas, is the rune of men, right? Of the commoner man, right? The average man, you could say. So this is, you see that this is talking about manifestations of symbols that appear in the world, right? The father, the mother, the sky, the earth, the king, the horse, the man. These are all material manifestations of things. Now, the Eos rune, it symbolizes horses, and it can symbolize riding, you could say, right? Now, you remember there's another rune, Rido, which is the rune of the carriage, the wheel, the sun, and it can and that rune, Rido, can represent travel in a spiritual sense, right? A journey, a quest, an astral trip, or something like that. My cat's a little bit is acting up a little bit. Eos is a bit different. It represents the literal ability to move, right? Motion. So Eos is the rune of moving around. So it could represent a trip in a potentially literal kind of sense. Excuse me a moment. There we go. We've got a guest for our for our video. So it could represent moving around in a literal sort of sense, like going on a literal journey or something like that, if you're looking at it from the kind of divination point of view. But more importantly, it represents the ability to move and to act. So it symbolizes power in motion. And if you look at the connections of the different Ayats. In the first Ayat, the third rune of the first Ayat is Thurisaz, right? And Thurisaz is a rune that represents conflict. So it's manifestation happening as a result of conflict. And then the third rune of the second Ayat is Isa, the ice, and it represents manifestation or union in the form of stillness, right? It is frozen. And now we have here Ehwaz, which represents union or manifestation in the form of motion, right? In the first, you're uniting in the way of struggle or of creating a force of conflict. In the second, you're uniting in a static sense, but here Eos represents union in the form of a mobile sense. You're uniting by doing. So you can kind of imagine that in the first, you could see Thurisaz as being symbolic of either prayer or exhortation or even exorcism or something like that. The second is union in the form of meditation, right? Stillness, surrender. And this is union in the form of action. So it's the manifested version of that. Ehwaz is also something that you can see as a union between man and nature, right? This is, again, acting in the material world. You had human beings manifesting in the world and then looking at nature around them, and they find the horse and they domesticate the horse, and the horse becomes a source of wealth and power for them. So you have here, lordly power, right? The chief has to be able to dominate a horse. He has to be able to have many horses and be able to give those horses to his men and use those horses to move into battle. So it's all about being able to act, being able to move, but move in the sense of taking action, and then through that action to end up being able to alter the environment around you, to have an effect in the world. So if you're doing that, then you're having an impact on what needs to be reflected, right? What needs to be taken from the spiritual realm and applied into the material realm. And that's what Ehwaz is basically all about. There's another aspect to this which could very much tie into, the culture of the ancient Northern European pagans also had this idea of nature being, how would you put it, like an animist view where all of nature had spirits that corresponded to the material manifestation of those things. So there's not just a horse, there's also a horse spirit, right? There are spirits for the animals and for the natural, the lakes and the trees and everything else. And Ehwaz is also potentially symbolic of what you could call a fetch, or a nature spirit, a spirit animal, you could call it, that if you are able to manifest union, you can then direct nature in a spiritual sense to lead you to where you need to go or to what you need to do. So there's kind of both of those sides to it. You can apply this in a kind of magical or spiritual sense to being able to connect to what is natural around you. You have to be able to see nature as it really is to do that, right? And if you do that, then you can make use of that nature to direct you where you will need to go. But it can also represent, in a more concrete sense, that if you understand nature, you can then control and manipulate nature to meet your ends. Both of those, I think, are applicable ways of understanding this rune. So I guess that's everything for today. I don't know when the next one will be, probably in quite a while. I think it's maybe like almost a year since the last time I did one of the rune videos. But like I said, there's not that many more to go. But keep watching for this. If you like this video, then please like it and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you happen to to see this video first in the Rune series, you probably want to go back. There's a playlist of the entire Rune series from the beginning, and you'll have a lot of interesting stuff to look at there and to put it all into context. And if you like that playlist, you should check out the other playlists on this channel and take a look at the playlist for the other topics that I cover. And if you're looking for more instruction on a spiritual process of self-cultivation, especially check out the Ehwaz Society playlist. Finally, if you check out in the link in the description below this video, you will find a link to the mailing list for the Ehwaz Society, which is it's free. It doesn't cost anything. If you join the mailing list, then you will receive in the joining email that you will be sent, which is the only email you'll be sent apart from a mailing list that comes out once every couple of months, that will have the mailing list messages will have links to my different videos, to news, to teachings, to links to other things I've written, and so that way you'll never miss out on the opportunity to see or to read any of my stuff. But in the introductory message that you get when you sign up, there will be a link in that message to a free download of my book, The Path and the Power, which is a translation and commentary on the Tao Te Ching. So you might find that interesting if you're looking for more stuff, and it's completely free. So take a look at that, and in any case, keep taking a look at the videos. Thank you very much for listening. My cat says bye too.